Sir, shall I start the class? Okay, sir. Good morning, students. Welcome back to another session of Unit 1 Diversity in the Living World, Chapter number 4 Plant Kingdom. In this, we have started already and finished two topics, that is algae and bryophytes. And I hope you have revised the textbook very well. And without any confusion, you can proceed to the next topic, that is pteridophyta. So in this pteridophyta, you are going to learn about the life cycle of pteridophytes and in detail the sporophytic stage and gametophytic stage of pteridophytes. So without wasting time, we'll start this one. But before that, I would like to appreciate the children who are forwarding their work to me directly. Durga and Pooja from Hasanparti TSRJC. Mamata V. Aruna Sarita from Vikharabad TSRJC. Shrutilaya S. Anoja V. Srilata Abhinaya from Vangara. Asma from Vaira TSRJC. I appreciate them because they are forwarding the work immediately in the afternoon session itself. After the class is over, they are just following the schedule. They have to complete the assignments and they are forwarding it to me. And I'm very much happy with their work. I hope all other students are also doing the same thing. And please, JLs, collect the names of the children who are forwarding and send it to me so that I can appreciate them in this webinar classes. So let us begin the topic, pteridophytes. So in plant kingdom, we have the thallophyta, where algae part is studied. Then the bryophyta, the moss plants. We have learned in detail about the moss plants. The bryophytes are haploid. Gametophytic stage is dominant there. And they are going to produce a sporophyte. And this sporophyte, which is in diploid condition, is going to produce the haploid spores again. In bryophytes, you are aware of this. So once again, let me tell you what is a haploid. Haploid is nothing but having only one set of chromosome. It is represented by single N here. Only one set of chromosome. And if two set of chromosome is there, then it is called diploid. The cell is called as diploid. And the cell is going to become diploid when two haploids are going to combine. When two haploid cells will fuse, a diploid cell is going to be the outcome. So remember this thing. And in the previous class, bryophytes, you have learned the haploid gametophyte. Gametophyte is the dominant stage there in bryophytes. In the gametophyte stage, you have seen how this gametophyte is producing the male sex organ and female sex organ, which is going to give gametes. And the gametes, of course, they'll be haploid only. But those haploid gametes, when they fuse, they are going to become diploid. And the or the diploid UN condition zygote is going to develop into a sporophyte. Is going to develop into sporophyte. So in the bryophytes, we have seen the sporophyte, the foot, seta, and capsule are the parts. After forming the foot, seta, and the capsule, in capsule, meiosis will be taking place. Meiosis will take place, and by this, the haploid spores are going to form again, which are going to become the gametophyte. So this is on germination, it is going to become a gametophyte. That is about bryophyte. Now completely different you will be seeing here in these pteridophytes. So listen carefully, children. In pteridophytes, you will be having the sporophyte is the dominant phase. The sporophyte, which is having diploid condition, and it is going to produce the spores. The spores are haploids. And these spores, haploid spores, are going to produce the gametophyte, which produces male and female gametes, and those male and female gametes will fuse and become a diploid zygote developing into a sporophyte body. So in pteridophyte, the dominant structure is sporophyte. In pteridophyte, you'll be seeing the sporophyte is the dominant, and it is going to produce a gametophytic phase where the gametes are going to form, and these gametes are going to produce diploid spores. They are going to produce diploid spores. I hope without any confusion you are going to follow this. In pteridophytes, let us go with the general characters. These are non-flowering plants. Non-flowering means they are cryptogams. The bryophytes and the pteridophytes, they will not produce the flowers, so they are non-flowering plants. Only they will be reproducing by spore formation. Spores are going to form. So you must remember they are going to produce the spores. Spores will be giving sporophyte. Okay. Grow in moist as well as sandy places. It will be growing in moist, sandy places, and it require water for fertilization. It require water for fertilization. First, true terrestrial plants. They are land living plants, and they are called true plants, true terrestrial plants, because bryophytes, they also require water. They are amphibians of the plant kingdom. They are amphibians of the plant kingdom. That means they also require water as well as soil also. But here pteridophytes, completely they are growing on the land, so they are the first land plants. That's why they are the reptiles of plant kingdom. They are the reptiles of plant kingdom, and they are true. Why they are true means they'll be having a root system, shoot system, well defined leaves will be seen. Pteridophytes has a sporophyte which gives a gametophyte. Remember, pteridophytes has sporophyte. First, this sporophyte will be diploid in condition, which gives a gametophyte. A gametophyte which is inconspicuous. Inconspicuous means very small, very tiny, and very short-lived one. Okay, the short phase of life cycle. In the life cycle, the short phase is seen in the gametophytic stage only. Okay, so the sporophyte is the dominant one. They are used for medicinal purpose and soil binders, and they are ornamental also. Ornamental purpose means they are very attractive. Even though they are not bearing any flower, but their plant body is very attractive. So ornamental purpose as well as medicinal purpose, and soil binders as the mosses, the bryophytes. So the pteridophytes are also good soil binders. They are tiny plantlets, plants which are growing on barren areas, and they help in avoiding soil erosion due to air and rainwater. So they are good soil binders. They are first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissue. So they will be having trachea, trachea for conducting the water. So they are the first vascular plants also. Vascular tissues are very important. Vascular tissues, they are the complex tissue. They will be having tracheids. Tracheids are present in the xylem tissue, and these tracheids are going to conduct water from the soil to the plant body. They are embryophytic. You can see the embryo stage here. By the fusion of gametes will be taking place. And archegoniate. Archegoniate means the female reproductive structure will be flask shaped. The female reproductive structure, as in mosses also you can see. So the archegonia will be flask shaped with a single female gamete, that is the egg cell. Okay, so flask shaped archegonia will be present, inside which the egg cell is formed. So they are archegonate, and they are the vascular cryptogams, non-flowering plants. Next, the plant body of sporophyte is differentiated into true roots, stem, and leaves. That's why they are the reptiles of plant kingdom. Reptiles of plant kingdom. Coming to the parts of a fern plant, you can see here an example of a pteridophyte. Here fern plant is given. I think this is the common fern plant. You might be aware of this. You have seen. You can see the root, the rhizome. The rhizome is going to develop when the spore will germinate. When the spore is going to germinate, the rhizome is going to form. Okay, and this rhizome will be bearing adventitious roots. And you can see the leaf, which is also called as frond. The whole fern leaf, blade and stalk is called as a frond here. So this one is the stipe or the stalk, to which you can see the sporophylls are present. Sporophylls are nothing but this one only, the leaflets. So here the leaf is pinnately compound. Pinnately compound, that means the leaflets can be seen here. And this is completely called as a frond. And you can see the blade, the expanded leafy part of the frond, you can see. And these fronds will be having the sporophylls, where the sporangium will be giving the spore. Mother cells will be undertaking divisions, meiotic division, and they will be producing the spores. The spore formation will be taking place. So here, look at the structure here, this one. Fiddle head and uncurling frond. Uncurling frond means the fronds are going to form like this. They are going to open up. So you can see the early stage of the frond will be like this. They are completely curled like this at the tip region. Slowly they are going to open up, and like this structure is going to form. You can have a look at life cycle of this pteridophyte, the fern plant. This is the sporophyte stage. As you know, the sporophyte stage, you will be having the fronds, and the sporophylls or the sori will be bearing the sporangia. This is called sporangium. In the sporangium, spore mother cells will be present. These are present below surface, not on the upper surface of the leaf, but on the lower surface of the leaf. These sporangiums are going to produce the spores. On bursting out these spores, you can see how the spore is falling on the ground, and this spore, after falling on the ground, is going to germinate. And when it is germinating, it is giving a heart shape. You can hear roughly some heart shaped structure, that is called the gametophyte is going to form. Why this is called, when the spore is germinating, why this is called gametophyte means this is going to produce the male reproductive structure as well as the female reproductive structure. On this gametophyte only, it is going to form the male reproductive structure, antheridium, and the female reproductive structure, archegonium. And both these are very important as they are going to produce the gametes. That's why the name is called gametophyte. And when they will form the gametes, obviously the male and female gamete will fuse and a zygote is going to form. Zygote is going to develop into a sporophyte. Okay. So when the zygote gametes are N condition, haploid condition, when they fuse, they will become diploid. When it is becoming diploid to N zygote, it is nothing but it is going to develop a sporophyte. That's why the sporophyte is a diploid sporophyte, and it undertakes meiotic division in the sporangium, where spores are haploid. Spores are haploid. Okay, and the sporophyte is diploid. It is undertaking meiotic division and forming the haploid spores. These haploid spores, they will be producing male gametophyte, female gametophyte, antheridium, archegonium, producing the haploid gametes, which on fusion become the diploid zygote, developing into a sporophyte. So this is a life cycle. I think it is clear for you what is haploid, what is diploid, what is a sporophyte, what is a gametophyte. So you can see here, sporophyte is dominant stage. So the long leaf is called dominant one. So sporophyte is very dominant, and then it is in diploid stage, as you have seen just now, which produces spores. Sporophyte will producing the spores. It is diploid in condition, but it is producing haploid spores. The spores are formed on leaves, which are called sporophylls. And these leaves are called the sporophylls because when they are bearing the spores there, they are going to be called as sporophyll. And the sporophyll may be microsporophyll, as in Selaginella, macrosporophyll, as in fern plant. Fern plant, just now you have seen the macrosporophyll. Macro means very large structure. Micro means the small leaf-like structure, microsporophylls. You can see in Selaginella. So these two are the examples of microsporophyll and macrosporophyll. So sporophyll is nothing but the leaf only, and that is going to bear the sporangium will be there, where spores are going to form. So it will be having the sori. The sporophyll will be having the sori. Sori means, for example, under surface of the sporophyll, this is a sporophyll. Under surface, lower surface, you can see the sori will be formed. Many sori will be formed. Okay, and singular it is called sorus. One single sorus, you can see inside a single sorus, a proper structure will be there. Spore mother cells will be there producing the spores. They will be undertaking meiotic division because sporophyte is diploid. That means all the cells are diploid, but they will undertake meiotic division so that they can produce the spores which are haploid. So sori means on the sporophyll you will be seeing number of sori will be formed, and singular is the sorus, and in the sorus the meiotic division will be taking place and the spores are going to form, which are going to get released. So spore producing leaves are compactly arranged. Spore producing leaves are compactly arranged in a cone like structure called strobilus. So it is called strobilus also when they are called. You can see here how the frond is going to get uncurled. In this picture you have seen, it is tightly curled. Slowly it is uncurling, opening up. How it is opening? You can see here. So in this manner, when it is getting open, you can see the frond. Now you can see the sporophylls. The sporophyll means the frond only, where you will be having on the under surface, on the lower surface of the leaf, you can see such type of sori will be seen. So here clearly you can see what is there in the sori. Singular I said it is a sorus. So it is a sorus, and inside this sorus only the sporangia, spore mother cells will be present. The spore mother cells are going to give the spores, and the opening is called indusium. Okay, so the upper surface of the leaf will be present, and this is the lower surface. For example, on the lower surface you can see such type of arrangement. This umbrella shape structure is also going to be visible, and here the indusium is present, and inside you will be having this structure. Like this structure will be there. This is the sporangia. Inside this sporangia only the spore mother cells are going to produce the spores, and when they rupture they'll be liberated out. So in the next slide you can see clearly. Yeah, here you can see this is the sori. Okay, these are the sori, and one singular is the sorus. So you can see here the sorus, how it is present. You know the leaf will be having the mesophyll tissue in the middle, and the outer part, upper part is called upper epidermis, and the lower part, this one is the lower part. This is the lower epidermis. Okay, and here you can see clearly, you can see how this sorus It is having a umbrella like structure here, which is protecting the spores which are getting formed here. And there are a number of, you can see a number of sporangia are present. These sporangia, you can see this sporangia is bursting, and due to meiotic division, haploid spores are formed that are getting liberated. You can see, and this sporangia is having a stack also getting attached to the sori. And here the sporangia, when it will become ripen, when it will undertake meiotic division, when the spores are formed, that spores are haploid and they are bursting out and releasing the spores. So this umbrella shaped membrane is a inducium covered, or the induced membrane protecting the sorus, and it is a true inducium. Once if you look at this or any fun plant, if you find in your surrounding, you can just check it out. If you have a microscope also, you can find out the structures clearly, observe it properly. Gametophytic stage in pteridophytes. So here, you know, sporophyte is the dominant stage. Then what is this gametophyte? Gametophyte is nothing but when the spores are liberated, these will germinate into a gametophyte. So here the gametophytic stage in pteridophytes, you'll see it will be haploid. As the spore is haploid, so the gametophyte is also haploid. It is photosynthetic. This point is very important here because from the sporophyte, the gametophyte is coming. This gametophyte is independent. It can synthesize its own food. It is not at all depending on the sporophyte. Whereas in bryophyte, you have seen the sporophyte depending on gametophyte. Food seta capsule is depending on the gametophyte in bryophytes. But in pteridophytes, the gametophyte, which is haploid, which is photosynthetic, it will not depend on the sporophyte. And also it is heart shaped, and it is called as prothallus. It is called as prothallus. And male and female reproductive organs are located on the ventral surface of the prothallus. Ventral means the lower surface. For example, the this is the gametophyte. For example, this is the upper surface, and down you'll be having the lower surface. On the lower surface only the male and female reproductive structure will be present. Or else I can show here from the ventral surface of this prothallus, you can see unicellular roots will be at the bottom region here, and at the apex region, this apical region, you can see some notch is there, and at this particular point you will be seeing the archegonia will be present here. Archegonia will be present here. And antheridia antheridia will be present in the middle of this unicellular hairs. So these are the male reproductive organs, and this one is the female reproductive organ. And who is forming this? A gametophyte is forming here. This gametophyte or the prothallus, this prothallus, which is having unicellular hairs. These hairs are unicellular, these roots are unicellular, single cell. That means you can imagine how conspicuous it is, how small it is, and how short lived it is. And it is meant for producing the male and female reproductive organs. And in this female reproductive organ, the female gamete will form. In the male reproductive organ, the male gamete will form. And both these are going to combine or fuse to form a zygote. This zygote is going to develop into a sporophyte again. So from sporophyte, the spores will form. From sporophyte, the spores will form, and the spore will be developing into a gametophyte. This gametophyte, the prothallus, will be having male reproductive and female reproductive organs developing here and producing the male gamete, female gamete, and male gamete. When these male and female gametes will fuse, a zygote is going to form. And remember one thing, the female gamete is only one egg cell per archegonia, whereas the male gametes, there will be many. So here, male and female reproductive organs are located on the ventral surface of Prothallus. Prothallus bears unicellular rhizoids. In midst of unicellular rhizoids, male reproductive organ is present. What is the male reproductive organ? Antheridium. Below apical notch of prothallus, at the apex region of the prothallus, where you can see heart shape like structure is present, there is an opening here. From where the male gamete is going to enter, and slide is there. That means you can imagine how small it will be. Okay, and if you examine the fern gametophyte, this is a fern plant's gametophyte, and this prothallus heart shape, you can see clearly how the archegonia, the female reproductive structure, is present below the notch, and how the antheridia is a male reproductive sex organ, and you can also see the unicellular rhizoids. Unicellular rhizoids. It is a microscopic view, and further clearly you can see in this also. This one is the archegonia. Pteridophytes are archegoniate. Archegoniate means archegonia will be having flask-like structure here. This is a flask shape, and you can see only one single egg cell is going to form here. Okay, and there is an opening here from where the male gamete is going to enter, and you can see the antheridia. This antheridia producing the male gametes. Okay, so this male gamete also, when it is producing, there will be basal cell here. Ring like basal cell will be present, one single in the antheridia. One basal cell will be present, and two cells will be present. These are ring cells. Two ring cells are there. Okay, these two are ring cells, and this is a basal cell, and here one lid like structure will be there. Okay, that is going to be the cap cell. We can say it is a cap cell. So here in this, you will be having the male gamete formation taking place in the antheridia. Antheridia, the male reproductive organ, and it is having the basal cell, two ring like cells, and a cap cell, wherein inside you will be forming the male gametes. So this is a structure. So here this is a male gamete, how it is getting released, how it is coming out, and that too this male gamete is not just like that. It will be having some curly shape like this. So this is a male gamete, and some reserve food material is also present, and it is having tough cilia. Cilia will be present, hair like structure. Why this cilia is present means, in the thin film of water, these are going to swim and reach the female egg nucleus. Okay, these male gametes which are released, they'll be having reserve food material, they'll be having the cilia, and in the thin film of water, for reproduction they require water, they are going to float and reach this female gamete, that is the egg cell, and they are going to fertilize it. They must reach the egg cell. That's why they are having the cilia, and they require the water. And here also you can see archegonia also. You can see the venter cells are there, and this is the neck. This is going to be the neck, and one, two, three, four, some four canal cells will be present. These canal cells will produce some mucilage so that the fusion will take place. The antherzoids, so these male gametes enter and they fuse with the egg cell here. So here some canal cells will be there, as well as they are going to produce the mucilage. And one more important thing, malic acid is also going to get secreted here. This malic acid is going to get secreted in the antheridia, sorry, archegonia, in the female reproductive structure, that is going to attract the male gametes. So male gametes must reach the female gamete and fuse, and fertilization takes place. So, Now coming to the sporophyte formation. After fertilization, the sporophyte will form definitely. The sex organs are multicellular, as you have seen, multicellular, jacketed and sessile. Sessile means they are not movable, the male sex organ or female sex organ. Only the male gamete is movable, motile. Fusion of male gamete with egg present in the archegonium results in the formation of zygote. That means N plus N, 2N, diploid zygote is formed. From this diploid zygote only, our sporophyte formation will take place. Zygote develops into a young embryo, that's why embryophytic, which produces a multicellular diploid sporophyte. So, pteridophytes are embryophytic. They are having vascular cryptogens because they are having the xylem vessels, and they are having the archegonia, which is forming the female gamete, and the archegonia is flask shaped. So they are archegoniate, they are embryophytic. Okay. Both sporophyte and gametophyte are independent of each other. As you know, this sporophyte is completely independent, which is bearing the roots, rhizoids, the stem, and the sporophylls. Okay, and this sporophyte is independent, and so the gametophyte also. The gametophyte is nothing but it is coming from the spores given by the sporophyte, and it is heart-shaped. Prothallus is seen, and the prothallus is going to form the male gamete and female gamete because male reproductive structure, female reproductive structure is given by this gametophyte only, and it is completely independent of the sporophyte. This point is very important, and so they are independent of each other. You can see the complete life cycle here. Yeah, here we can see the dominant stage is sporophyte. Okay, this is the sporophyte dominant stage, and you can see the rhizome and the adventitious roots. Okay, and here what is happening on the fronts, you can see just now I have shown how the spory will be having the sporangium. The spore mother cells are going to form here, and when the spore mother cells are going to form the spores, they are haploid. So the 2n condition of the sporophyte is giving n condition of haploid gametes, and these haploid gametes, not gametes, haploid spores, these haploid spores are released from the sporangium, and when they fall on the ground, they are going to germinate. When they germinate, you can see the prothallus stage. This is a prothallus stage, heart shaped structure, and you can see the unicellular rhizoids are there, and you can see the heart shape, and you can see the female reproductive organ. This is the female reproductive organ, archegonia, having single egg nucleus cell, and the female gamete is formed here. And you can see in the middle of these rhizoids, unicellular rhizoids, antheridia, the male reproductive part, antheridia. You can see the structure of antheridia, as just now I have explained you. The antheridia, it will be having a basal cell and two ring cells and a lid-like structure, the cup cell, and inside the male gametes are going to form, which are haploid only. And the same thing is happening in the female reproductive organ also. It is archegoniate. Archegonia means flask shaped, having egg nucleus. Only one single egg nucleus will be present. That means only one single male gamete is going to fuse, and fertilization takes place here in the archegonia. And after the fertilization is taking place, it is called zygote. Now the zygote is in diploid condition. Two set of chromosomes are there here, 2n condition. Okay, and this diploid, you can see how it is getting fertilized. Then afterwards, it is going to develop embryonic stage, is going to make it develop into a complete sporophyte. That is a diploid sporophyte is going to develop from here. So in the life cycle of these pteridophytes, you can see the sporophyte. This is a sporophyte which is diploid in condition. It is the dominant. It is a long lived. So it is a diploid sporophyte. It is a diploid sporophyte. This is the dominant. And it is forming the spores which are haploid. It is forming the spores which is haploid due to meiotic division, and it is developing into a gametophyte. It is a gametophyte, haploid gametophyte, that will be having the prothallus stage, and then afterward the prothallus will be developing the male and female reproductive organs on it. The male reproductive organs are formed here at the basal region, and at the apical notch the female reproductive organs, both of them producing their respective gametes here, which are haploid only. When these two haploid gametes are fusing, diploid zygote developing into a sporophyte again. So this is the life cycle. I hope you understand this clearly. The Celophyta, Ecophyta, Phenophyta, and Pterophyta. Of these three, in Sphenophyta, you will be having the fossil plants except Equisetum. So for Psilophyta class, you can see the example is Xylotum. Xylotum, how beautiful it is, you can see. And for Lycophyta, you'll be having Lycopodium, the example. That's why they are ornamental plants. And the beautiful Equisetum, you can see, it belongs to Phenophyta, which is having all fossil plants except this Equisetum. It is not fossil one, it is present till date. And then Pterophyta, you can see the terrace. So these are this is a fern plant. So these are the beautiful ornamental plants which are also having medicinal value as well as good soil binders, and they belong to pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are also called as reptiles of plant kingdom. They are the reptiles of plant kingdom, and they are cryptogams, non-flowering only. They are spore bearing only. Reproduction is taking place by spores only, and as well as they will be having the sporophyte, the dominant stage. Then they will be forming the haploid spores, which is going to develop into a gametophyte, haploid gametophyte, and that haploid gametophyte will be giving the male and female gametes. And this gametophytic stage is inconspicuous, that means very short lived. And finally, when the gametes will fuse, it is going to give a sporophyte again. Coming to the assignment 7, short answer type questions only given. What is meant by homosporous and heterosporous? So one thing, homosporous and heterosporous means identical spores. If the spores are same, they are homosporous. If they are different, they are heterosporous. As in case of Selaginella and Salvinia, they are unidentical. Okay, so this condition can be seen here only. In bryophytes, all are homosporous, but in pteridophytes, we are having homosporous and heterosporous. And heterosporous example, Selaginella and Salvinia, they will be giving unidentical spores. And what is heterospory? Briefly comment on its significance and give two examples, and give a brief account of prothallus. This prothallus which will be bearing the male-female reproductive organs. And this is very important answer. I hope you will learn the answers as well as complete the assignment in time and forward it to me. Once again, we'll have some recap of this. Just have a no sir, no sir. Just 5 minutes recap. Recap will boost you, I think, to understand it clearly. Yeah, from here we'll go the sporophyte, and this is a gametophyte. The sporangium bearing the spores. Spores on germination will give gametophyte. Gametophyte is haploid only, having male and female reproductive structure formed on it. Male and female gametes are fusing, and diploid sporophyte is going to form again. Again, from the diploid sporophyte, meiotic division will be taking place in sporangium, giving a haploid spores. And haploid spore germinates and give a haploid gametophyte. This is the important thing. And remember about the sporophylls, microsporophyll and macrosporophyll. Microsporophyll example, Selaginella, macrosporophyll, fern. And you can see the fronds, how they are uncurling. When they uncurl, then they will appear very beautiful, and they are photosynthetic in nature. And you can see the sporophylls, and you can see the sori here. The sorus is having the sporangium, from the sporangium meiotic division takes place and the spores are busting out or released, which are haploid spores. Haploid spores will be giving the haploid gametophyte only. And this is the under surface where you can see the sori. And this is the clear view of this sorus. One single sorus, you can see how the sporangium, it is having a stack also, and the sporangium bearing the haploid spores, which is busting out and getting released. And you can see the umbrella like structure here. This is the indusium, which is going to cover this membrane is going to cover this sorus. And this is the upper epidermis, and at the lower part, lower epidermis, you can see this formation of sorus will take place. And many such sorus, they are called as sori. So all the sori will be on the lower surface area of the leaf. Prothallus, you can see it is very tiny, and you can see the structure of prothallus in under microscope. And here heart-shaped prothallus bearing the male reproductive organ and female reproductive organ. Archegonia, the female reproductive organ, is present at the base, apical notch here. And antheridia, the male reproductive structure present at the middle of these rhizoids at the basal part. And these rhizoids are unicellular. And you also learned about the detailed structure of this archegonia bearing egg cell. Antheridia, the male reproductive structure releasing the male gametes. So finally, this is the life cycle. If you see this life cycle, it will be clear cut, easy for you to remember forever. And these are the classes: Xylotum, Lycopodium, Equisetum, Pteris are the example. Beautiful ornamental plants, you can see, are going to make up this pteridophytes. And thank you. Thanks a lot for watching. Sir, class is over. Sir, class is over.
Completed, madam?
Yes, sir, completed.
Okay, thank